All right. Thank you for joining us today. I am very excited. I got a man who very rarely comes out from behind his keyboard to do video marketing in person stuff. So this is a big favor to me. I appreciate you taking the time this morning, Derrick, to have a little chat. So I just want to pre-introduce Derrick to you guys. I will, of course, get your elevator pitch version of your life story, but I just want to share that when I first met Derrick, it was during the pandemic, and we were talking about marketing and whatnot, and the whole time he had his hands under the desk, and he was always fiddling with something, and at one point I'm like, what are you doing under there? And he pulls out a switch, a Sony, whatever, those PlayStation, those switches things, and he's explaining to me, oh, I'm doing this little project, and in the end, do you want to explain what we were doing with Animal Crossing?
Yeah, so Animal Crossing has like a virtual currency and items. And during the pandemic, a lot of people were living their life, especially like women, were living their life through the Animal Crossing because they couldn't go out and interact. So in Animal Crossing, you can build like your city, you can build your backyard, you can set up your house. So it was a very viral thing going on because there was nothing to do, right? And so the one mechanic that it doesn't have is you cannot purchase items or virtual currency to get ahead. You have to play, slug it out, and earn it. And so what we did is made a way that people could purchase the items and currency to skip ahead quicker or progress in the game quicker. And so that's what it was.
I feel like you're totally underselling what was really going on here. So first of all, this involved like exactly as you would with Walmart. You needed the full supply chain. So Derrick's got people in Vietnam, I think it was, that are playing the game, earning the currencies that he's then bundling into these offers with multiple switches, and the whole process, you'd buy it on a Shopify site, but then you had to sort of air traffic control, quite literally, because they fly into an island in the game. And so you had all of your switches on a feed to YouTube so that all of us who were doing the air traffic control stuff could basically see as if we're in the game. So somebody lands on the island. Oh, I love the hat you're wearing. That's awesome. So just go to the right, go to Bay 17. That's where your stuff is. There's, and we had all these little scripts of there's 52 items, so it'll take you 4 trips, and call me in between each one. And so we had this whole process that was supply side, filling these islands, the demand side of running these Facebook ads and just flooding the play. And I mean, after Christmas, there were literally hours that we were doing hundreds of I mean, this thing was printing money. And the other thing I just want to highlight, it's not just that they weren't able to socialize. I think the thing that we were really able to capture was the fact that, if you had real money, everybody was renovating their backyard and their kitchen, and they were putting in, outdoor kitchens by their pool and stuff. And so what you were able to capture was that latent demand of like, damn, I wish I could do that. I can't, but I can do it for $20 in this game, and I can deck out my kitchen in my backyard and stuff.
It's kind of like keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah, it's like the virtual version of what's going on,
And it's like, okay, well, I don't have 8 hours to play it, but I have $150 that I'll spend to keep up with it, right?
Right. So anyway, this was my first real introduction to how Derrick's twisted brain works, and it was an impressive thing. We quite literally rode that thing till the wheels fell off. And you were at one point, I think we had about 20 or 25 people that were in there servicing guests. I mean, it was it was a non-trivial scale of a side quest.
Yeah, I mean, it got up to during Christmas and times like that, up to like 10 grand a day. There was like we were spending about 30% on advertisements, so we'd spend like around 3 grand a day on Facebook ads, Google ads.
Dude, I've told this story so many times to people. It was the first time that I really realized you've obviously you can talk a little bit to it, but you have a history in the affiliate world, so you understand Facebook marketing particularly, and driving paid traffic is something that I never really mastered. I was always the SEO. I'm the create the content to bring them to you guy, whereas you're just the like, screw it, I'll just buy access. And it was incredible to me how consistently Facebook was essentially a 1/3 business partner with that business. It was like, you're just, if you want that constant traffic drip, you're in it for 30%, 33% of the bill, very consistently over the months. It was very interesting to me that it was so dialed. You know what I mean? Facebook was just like, all right, I guess we just treat it like a business partner. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Okay, so did I miss what? How did you get here? Let's get a little bit of your kind of life story, if you will. What was when did you become computer fucking overlord here, where you became the
I always
the
loved
systems
computers.
guy that you are?
I always loved
What's that?
computers. My first computer was a Commodore 64 that my uncle had bought.
The C64 crew, buddy. That was my first computer too.
And then
That kind of dates us, though. You're Gen X if you're a Commodore 64 guy.
yeah, and so used to play around with that. It didn't have it wasn't internet. It was cassettes that you would put in and load the software. And then
I had the floppy. I had the 2 floppy drives that you had to make the errors if you're copying games. That was my thing back then, was copying games, and you had to listen to it formatting the game and just pull the disc out at the right track to like get the error on the right track, and then it would work. And
you were bypassing DRM at a young age. I see.
I made so much money as a kid. I would go down. Actually, this is a funny story. My intro into this was that in grade 5 and 6, I would go down to Simpsons because they had 2 computers, and the music department was kind of like, it was tucked in behind the music department, and nobody went there because all they had was Commodore software. It was like the spreadsheet, word processor kind of stuff, and they didn't have any games or anything, right? But I knew how to do BBS stuff, so I was like on the BBSs at my school, and I would download these games, and then I would go down to Simpsons, and I'd have like my hockey bag with the games, and I'd turn their 2 computers around, and I was like essentially like demoing the games, and kids would come over because they were listening to the music. They'd like, oh, what's going on over there? They'd come over and we'd play games, right? And there was this guy the guy who was like the counter person, was just never said anything to me. Like, there was always this like hanging, like, I'm just waiting for him to come over and kick me out kind of vibe, right? Like why is this guy being so chill? Like, and looking back on it, it's because he had a dead zone that nobody ever came to, and he doesn't care. Like, some kids playing on the computer, that's fine. It's drawing people over. Anyway, after a few months of doing this, he comes to me. He's like, I need to, can we go out for a coffee or something? Like, I want to talk to you, but I can't do it at work, kind of thing. I'm like, all right. So, so we go for coffee. Anyway, long story short, he's printed me these business cards, and he explains to me, he goes, look, this is killing me because every weekend fathers come down with their kid and they want to buy this computer, but I don't have any of the games that you're playing. Like, the kids come down because they're playing the games. They want the thing for the games, but we don't sell the games. I can't let you sell the games in there because I just can't. And but what I can do is give them your card and tell them, you'll charge them. I think he had set it up as $50 that I'll come to their house. I'll help them set up their computer for $50, and then while I'm there, then I can sell them the games and just do it that way. So it's happening not in Simpsons, because I can't have you selling shit in Simpsons. That's not going to fucking fly. Right. But it was such a, I mean, it was self-serving for him, obviously, because he was, he sold a lot more computers after that deal went down. But it really, honestly, I would love to meet that guy again and see him, because he set the tone for my entire career. I have been demoing and selling software ever since, and it was such a gift to me as a young person who didn't understand business mechanics or whatever. Like, he really, really set me up in a way, and I made so much money as a teen. My mom had an intervention at one point because she thought I was selling drugs. I was just like, no, Mom, I'm just selling games. I had, once I got further along, I did get my own computer and stuff, and I would have, a lineup of people down my my parents' staircase waiting on the weekend to buy games, and it was like, the 50-year-old taxi driver guy and the 30-year-old mom, and then, a couple of kids. Like, it was just all over the map, and my mom just could not understand what was going on. She was just losing it. Anyway, sorry, big bypass, but yeah, Commodore 64 played a huge role in my life and my foundational kind of development in software. So thank you to Simpsons guy, whose name I don't even remember or know or anything. But if you're ever watching this, please do reach out, because I owe you a nice dinner at the very least.
Yeah.
Okay. Back to Derrick. But yeah, I mean, those were those were the anchor times when those that stuff was coming out, and it was just so magical and exciting, and that's when I caught the bug with computers too. Was as early as that, as a kid, just being like, wow, these things are. And then obviously there were landmarks, when the internet first really came out, and I was early on that as well, and very a couple of years before people were commonly adopting the internet, and I kind of feel like we're now in and these phases had these like when mobile first came out, there was this period where it was like, oh wow, all these different cool things that you could do. And then it sort of normalized, and there were more of it. And I think we're in another time like that, where there's this kind of shift happening where with AI, of course, being the center point for this, where it's gotten really exciting again. And there's like, all these kind of new potentials and kind of new business models and stuff that are surfacing that were not possible before.
Yeah.
So I guess let's start this by talking a little bit about. Well, I see you're sporting the gear. You're sporting.
No, but hold on a second. So after I went through the, I mean, I was like a little kid with the 64. Then I went to high school. Yeah. When I was in high school, I took a computer course. Used to hack into things, send messages, whatever, to other people in the course. But then the major thing was, my dad was a DJ. I was into playing music, and then what I did is before iTunes, it was hard to get music digitally from the Caribbean. So. It was very hard. You're using CDs. And so what I did is I made an e-commerce store where you could actually download the streams, similar to iTunes, but this is before iTunes. And what I did is I made relationships in the Caribbean where I would get the people to go and buy the actual music from the street there, and then rip it.
And this is what, like buying tapes and stuff, basically, that they were selling? CDs.
So buying CDs. So like how it works is like, a song would come out, an album would come out, or a street dance, the audio of it would come out, video also got into. But basically they would get those things as soon as they came out, rip it in Jamaica, upload it to me via FTP. Then I would put it onto my e-commerce site and sell that. So that it was really a site for DJs. So DJs need new music. Normal channels, so like say country or hip hop or pop, they had record pools and stuff like that. Caribbean music didn't have that, so it was hard to get your hands on this. So that's what I did. So I would sell it for like a CD, which was just a digital download. I would sell it for $3.99, and basically I started with that, and I had got lucky. I had made the site on WordPress really early on. As Riel knows, WordPress is great for SEO. So then all of a sudden, I just started ranking for all the music. Every kind of Caribbean music I would rank for. So now it was just like, okay, I would have runners all over the place in the Caribbean, and I would just take, I would probably upload at least 5 or 6 new pieces of music every single day, because the more I uploaded, the more I ranked, the more I sold.
Yeah, of course.
And so that was my first take into e-commerce. And then I took that to around 20 grand a week. And then I was like, okay, what is the percentage of people that want a reggae CD? And I was like, if you're in a room of 100 people, maybe 3 at that time. And so I thought, if I can find another product that's more popular, then I would really be crushing it. And at that particular time, the App Store just launched. And so I knew that, this is just like the inception of the App Store, So I knew that
the iPhone App Store, the Apple's App
Apple
Store
and Google. Right at the start, like, okay, now we have apps that you can download, and, there was a whole
look at the flashlight. Here we go.
Yeah, there was a whole economy around it. And so what I did is I got into affiliate marketing. And the first company I got into was called CPA Lead. And basically what they did is they had something called a content locker. So you could lock content behind a paywall. And in order to unlock it, instead of paying money, you would download an app or do a survey or some form of attention, and then you would get what you want. So you could lock whatever you want. You could lock a reggae movie. You could lock,
and this was like the get a PlayStation for. Sign up for these 10 things and we'll send you a PlayStation. That was that era of internet marketing, yes?
Yeah, it was like it's how it started and how it really blew up. Content locking was around like movies. So it would be like, you want to watch this movie? Well, then like download an app or do this or watch this or do a survey. And basically what it was is that it was like, it was around a lot of these things. It got cracked down on because a lot of those things were like piracy, right? Meaning the video behind it was piracy. This is the times of like Mega Upload, Kim.com, Affiliate.com, those times, right? The Wild Wild West. And this is before Facebook had any kind of ad network. So like Facebook, when they first started for like, I think the first 5 years, there was no way to buy ads on Facebook. They were just growing. Right? They were just growing, taking investment, but they weren't monetizing. And so we were the first to monetize Facebook. Like this, share, and then you get something. So we were going viral on Facebook to drive traffic to these offers. And so, yeah, that's when I realized the power of that. And then after being one of the top affiliates at CPA Lead, I would talk to my affiliate manager. He'd have some good ideas, and the company wasn't listening and to his ideas. So I said, hey, I know how to drive traffic. You know how to manage an affiliate network. Let's partner up and open an affiliate network. And so that's what we did. And we opened an affiliate network, and then that was it. He knew where to get all the offers. I knew how to drive traffic in the affiliates, and We went from zero to like a million a month in revenue in like 30, 45 days. And then it just grew from there. Um, yeah, so my background is driving traffic, tracking, building tracking systems so that we can track clicks.
So you make sure
Fraud.
you're getting paid for all that traffic that you're driving.
Exactly.
The other classic problem with affiliate marketing.
And then what happened is we made a boatload of money. He would decided to go to Vegas, party, all this stuff, and so we kind of parted ways for a little bit. He went crazy, basically, and
As one does when they're making millions of dollars a week.
then I just kept doing my thing. So I just kept doing my affiliate marketing, whatever. And then a couple years down the road, we ended up, he got a job at another affiliate network eventually. He moved to Texas instead of Vegas and cleaned up, started family life, that sort of thing. And I was in Sri Lanka at the time, opening up an office for outsourcing, that sort of stuff. And he called me and he's like, hey, I got this idea, you know, the company, they don't want to listen to it. This is what's going on. And so I said, okay, I'm going to build it and then I'll come back to you. And so it took 3 months. And then I called him back, and that was the Super Link or Smart Link. So we were the first people to do a Smart Link or a Super Link. And what that is it basically you send traffic to the link. It determines what device you're on, what country you're in, what time of day, all kinds of data points, and then gives you the best app to install. And so
The most likely to convert as an offer to that particular person, as opposed to just a straight like we're pushing one thing. We're pushing the best possible converting offer, essentially.
yeah, and it's always calculating in real time. So if this offer stops converting and this offer starts, it's going to switch. So it was basically machine learning what offer is the best for each and every single click. And so then what we did from there is there's something called mistargeted clicks for affiliate networks. So if you're an affiliate, and let's say you're promoting something like Bowflex, and they say we only want U.S. traffic on an iPhone in these states, and then you send a click that's a wrong state or a wrong device or
Yeah, that's like lost revenue before you came along, kind of thing.
well, it wasn't lost revenue. What would happen is people would send it to a parking page. So if you ever see on like we have a domain, they have a parking page. Basically pays like pennies. It would pay like 10 cents or something, maybe, if somebody clicked on something, probably less than that. And it was run by affiliate.com. I forget what his name was. Richter was his last name, but he was called the Spam King. And basically, what we did is we went to all the networks and said, plug in our super link instead of sending it to a parking page. And basically overnight, it turned their mistargeted clicks from like making $100, $200, $300 a day to making $5,000 a day because the apps were paying out like $5 to $15 per install instead of like
Not
5
10
to 10
cents
cents.
from
So
yeah.
it was like, boom. So then
So that
overnight,
just ran through the industry, basically.
that's it. Well, yeah. So we knew all the affiliate networks because we were part of them all. And then it's just like the pitch was just plug in our super link for a day. If you like it, keep using it. If you don't, switch back to your parking. What do you have to lose? $300? They plug it in. They make $3,000 that day, and then that was it. It blew up, and now that's an industry standard. Meaning all affiliate networks have super links, smart pages. You know, but we were one of the first to do it, and definitely the first to push it out like that. And so, yeah, from there, so that's my background, and then, you know, I just work with companies to drive leads. That's what I do, and I'm used to working on a cost per action basis, meaning that if I don't drive leads, I don't get paid. So, you know, there's a lot of lead generation services and stuff. They give you leads. The leads are no good. They don't convert, da da da. I'm used to working on a pay per performance type model. So my brain is always about ROI. what is the biggest return on investment? How are we going to make money? Like, I'm not thinking about, obviously my tools can be used for customer service and blah, blah, blah. But my main, metric is like, okay, like how can we increase your ROI? How can we make money? How can we increase the bottom line? Because that's just how I've been trained and how I get paid. Right? So.
Because that's all that really matters at the end of the day. All them pretty logos are fine, brand building, yada, yada, yada. But how does that contribute to your bottom line? Show me.
Yeah, and it needs to be trackable. So I'm a data guy. I don't go on feeling, oh, well, maybe this might work. Oh, okay, like, we'll prove it, right? Like, because I've had some of my worst ideas make the most amount of money. So I go by data, testing, split testing, that sort of thing. And you got to test everything, and you gotta see what works, and you follow the data. Not, obviously as you're doing something, you'll have gut instincts and stuff, but you still have to prove it out by the data, and that's the point of truth is the data. And so yeah, that's kind of what.
So you care about the data, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's jump now to what you're doing now, because this is the perfect transition, because it's all about the converting leads and the data. So you're sporting one of your clients' gear today, Jaden's. Do you want to take us through Jaden's and kind of what the problem is that you're solving for them?
Okay, so it's just all home services businesses. What the problem is they're, first of all, the cost to acquire a customer is high. So it's about $80 on Meta and $55 on Google. So
and just for those who aren't used to traffic buying, this, you're saying the average cost for the clicks, and then by the time you've got enough of them to get a lead.
I'm talking about for the click.
Just the actual one click.
So like if I had
so that's not even a cost to acquire a customer, because you'll get
exactly
depending on what your conversion
really
rate is, you're getting 10 clicks and only one of them are actually converting to a customer.
Absolutely. The average cost to get the customer is around $400, $300 to $400 in home services.
And that's in sort of $20 to $50 per click kind of things, and then whatever your ratio is at converting them. So obviously, what happens when they click becomes really, really important, which I'm teeing you up here.
Yeah.
Because as we know, if you've ever called a locksmith or a plumber, or your heater's overdoing and like buddy doesn't answer the phone, you're on to the next one on the Google Map list. And yeah, so
that's
with
it.
that setup.
Yeah, that's it. So basically, there's a couple things that we do. We, first of all, these companies are running campaigns. It's costing them money. They have big budgets. It's costing them a lot of money, whether you're running billboards, bus ads, digital marketing, mail outs, SEO. It doesn't matter. There's a cost to generate the phone to ring or somebody to fill out a form. And if you're not servicing that quickly, like Riel was saying, then you could lose that to a customer. So you lose twofold. You spent money to make it happen, then you lost it because you didn't follow up quick enough to the customer. So
right.
In one sense, we act as insurance, right? So you're spending $80, $55 a click, and for a couple dollars extra, we can ensure that click gets serviced immediately. And so it's almost like insurance, and how we got to that is from, my customers told me that. Like at first I was like, just like I said, you have to follow the data. In my head, I was like, well, why do we need to follow up like on these people like that? Let's just get new customers. And, they're like, basically, one of my customers goes to me, listen, Derrick, if I'm spending $80 to get this, if I spend $2 more to make sure that it converts, I'm happy to do that, and so at scale, I didn't know if it would be like a feasible product, but at scale, it makes total sense. And so basically, what we do is there's a couple of different things that we do, but there's three main buckets. One is after.
Let's save the voice side, because I think the voice side is a whole conversation of the opportunity. So the typical funnel for this is I click an ad, I get to a page, I fill out an email capture, phone capture thing, and then that goes into whatever drip campaign or your in the more sophisticated case, it goes to some phone room the person's going to phone me back. Yes?
Yeah, yes and no. So basically what happens is you click an ad, you end up on a home services website. There's two paths. One is pick up the phone and call us. One is fill out a form or a quote form, contact us form. There's just two paths. And most home services businesses are good at pick up the phone and call us. Okay, they're good. There's a percentage of the calls they might miss when they're very busy, overflow, after hours, they might not be as good at. But during business hours, that's their bread and butter. That's how they survive. They're making money, and they're making millions.
And the good ones have dialed that in. Basically, they're running their ads.
Dialed that in, or you're
right
not going to
time.
be You're not.
Yeah.
If you're a company that's doing $1 million to $10 million a month, you've solved that part, right?
Right.
At least most of it. So you might be 85%, you might be 15% inefficient, let's say, right? But that's where your money's coming in. It's making the business work, and you're a profitable business, okay? And so, as time progresses here, how younger people are, they don't want to talk on the phone. They prefer the self-serve. It's the same as, ordering food or ordering Instacart or, whatever it is, ordering Amazon. Like, they don't, instead of talking, they want to just kind of self-serve and fill out a quote form, book their own, schedule their own appointment, that sort of thing. And that's where the ball is dropped in most traditional home services. They're not as efficient as when someone calls on the phone by a large amount. Like, it could be 80% inefficient, right? And so basically that's where we're coming in. That's where we come in and make them more, well, we service everything, but that's where the immediate, that's where the most.
That's where the immediately visible ROI is.
Yes.
For that, where they.
It's where they're the most inefficient.
This was a dropped ball previously, and now suddenly it's we're able to convert those people. So should we show some examples here? Do we want to walk through the kind of Jaden lead handling side?
Okay, but yeah, let me just explain it. So basically, when someone fills out those leads, whether it be a Google local service ad, whether it be the web form on your website, whether it be a Service Titan or Jobber or
whatever their CRM is, HubSpot, Zoho.
Yeah, they'll have like a quote form that'll book into the CRM and assign a tech and all that. Those are the things that they don't follow up quickly with. So, and then for instance, web chats. So like, you have an intercom or a talk to or some form of web chat on your site. Those are all the things where the opportunities are, the inefficiencies are. And so what we do is we bring all of those leads into one platform. So instead of a customer service rep having to be logged into Talk to or Intercom, be logged into email because Google Local Services is sending an email, or if they have ad access to Google, then
let's actually highlight because Google Lead Serve. There's like some interesting dynamics going on, particularly with the local ad stuff in Google. Maybe you can kind of highlight how they kind of sunsetted their practical usage and require people to be logged into the ad account, which is crazy.
Yeah. So for Google Local Service, how it works is.
And that's the map ads, right? That's when you're running Google My Business, when you're trying to run traffic to your map profile.
It's not. No. What it is it's a thing specifically for home services only, And what it is it's a program that Google runs, which is basically a pay-per-call program that they're running, right? And what they do is they put it at the very top only for specific industries, home services. So if you were to put in AC repair, it's going to say like, well, like let's just pull it up so I can show you.
So let's share your screen. Let's show.
Yeah, I'm gonna
let's show this.
So basically, you put in HVAC repair London, right? You could put in painting London. You could put in whatever. It's any home services, and the top entry is going to be this. So this comes above paid ads. Comes
Oh, it's even above the map pack.
above everything.
Yeah.
It's this is how Google makes money, right? It's above everything. So, and then there's a couple things about it. So basically, this they call it sponsored HVAC pros. Okay, there's two things you can do. You can get a quote, or you can get phone number which calls. Right, get a quote. It used to be leave a message. They're now turning it into get a quote because there's a whole thing like if you have a wizard that can like pre-quote, so then you could get a quote directly from here. So they're implementing that. But basically what these things do is Google actually guarantees their work. So Google vets these companies to get in here. So in order to get in here, you can't just pay to get in here. So you have to have, I think it's over a 4.6 rating. You have to have business insurance. You have to submit your incorporation documents. So basically, fly-by-nights can't get in here. These are all vetted by Google. And Google has something called Google Guarantee, which basically, like, say I use one of these and then they don't provide the service or something, Google will insure it and pay for that. So basically, like, these are vetted by Google and, the creme de la creme in home services.
It filters out all those guys like you and me that used to run Google My Business pages for painters in Burnaby or whatever, and then and you're running 50 different Google My Business profiles that are actually just lead gen.
Exactly. So they vet them. So these are legitimate businesses. They're not fly by nights. They didn't just open up last month. They have a consistent reviews, blah blah blah. So like if you look at Handy Bro, 67 years in business. Jaden's 11 years in business. M&K 43, 32, 67, 6. But they have a 5.0 rating with 265 reviews. Like, wow, okay. So they vet this. Okay, so this is now what happens is if you click this, it goes through to a phone. Google records it. They analyze the recording, and if you got a lead from it, like if a customer books, you have to pay them around $55 US per.
And is Google answering it, or are they just call forwarding it to your
number
service?
Google just is in the middle, and they record it because they want to know if it's a good lead or not. So if it's somebody, a telemarketer, then you don't get charged for it. But if it's a real customer and you engage with them for like over 1 minute long, then you're paying $55 for that.
Right.
Okay. Now, the second one here is get a quote. So when you click get a quote, it's basically a form fill. You see? And so that's why, what I was saying, all form fills. So this is basically a form fill. Okay. And this is going to evolve even more. So right now it's like, hey, here's your message and thing, but this is going to evolve to integrate directly into the quote flow. So you'll click get a quote, it'll then go into your thing and say, okay, well, what do you need? Where do you live? Blah, 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 and actually book them in. So like that's where this is going, right? And so when you click this, someone submits this, it's $55. That's how much it is. So what happened is there's how Google alerts you. There's 3 ways. They send an email to the account that is the AdWords account, the advertising account. They also used to have a mobile app that would have all the leads. And that mobile app, they sunset in 2025, so there's no mobile app. The other thing is, okay, I'm going to show you something, but you're going to have to redact this.
So for the audience, this is actual customer facing stuff. So I'm gonna gray out all of the details. So if it looks like the Epstein files, then you'll know why.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again, because I'm going to just show you what Google is giving everybody, which is just ridiculous. So Google gives you...
So I've just spent $55 to drive this lead. It sends an email to my agency that set up the ads for me, because I don't even know how to log into my own ad account. I'm a plumber.
Yeah, and then this is the only way to see your ads in a dashboard. And basically, in order to...
In Google's dashboard, but this is logged in as the ad account owner, yes?
Yes, you have to have access to the ad account in order to see this. So if you have customer service reps, you don't want them to have access to this, because it shows everything. It shows, billing, promotions, account access, the business verification. So there's a lot of sensitive data that you don't want to minimum wage employee
necessarily have
rate
your
of 30%
$12 an hour person checking out.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
Okay, so now the only thing I can do in here is I literally have to click. I don't know, what is this? I don't know. So I literally have to click on this, and then I can see, okay, this was an incoming call. They want a plumber, blah, blah, blah. So hold on, let me go back to an actual message. So here. So I literally have to click on this to see this. Looking for central air, da-da-da-da-da, right? See this?
Yeah.
Okay. And so if I want to see the next one, then I have to go in and I got to click on the next one. I'm not seeing anything. So this is very...
There's no hover, see what's in it. It's just a painful
It's just
process.
very inefficient, and there's nothing I got to literally just click on them. And the only thing I can see is that, okay, it's bolded. That means I haven't clicked on it yet, but it doesn't mean that it's been serviced. It doesn't mean that it's been done. It doesn't mean anything except for that I've clicked on it, right?
So less than efficient, I guess you could say.
So what happens is, because it's so inefficient, then leads are left there. Look at these leads are left there. Look at this. This is from February 26th. Nobody's clicked on it. So, this lead that costs $55 has been sitting here since February 26th. If I go back,
Yikes.
There's going to be even more. There's a lot of, look at February 20th. Okay, all these leads are $55 or more. February 4th, so, okay, we're in Valentine's Day. The lead has not been serviced. You see what I'm saying? So, a lot of the leads are, but you see these ones that aren't. Here, there's $150 on this page. You know what I'm saying? I'm going back.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah, because it's the last play. I'll deal with the stuff that's lower hanging fruit as the customer service rep. I'll deal with the phone calls that are coming in, or I'll deal with other channels that are easier to check. This kind of
and they're all making money. So it's this is a smaller percentage of their business. They're doing $1 million to $10 million a month. And, they're making money, so they don't see the inefficiencies. But there is a lot of inefficiencies. And so, what we're doing is we come in and we make everything go into one bucket. So what that means is that whether it's a Google local service ad, whether it's, whatever, let me go into a different ad. Let me show... And this has to be redacted as well.
So these are form fills, like if I'm running Instagram ads or LinkedIn ads, I have
everything.
A form.
So here's a response queue. This came in 630 minutes. So this came in last night. It was a web form. It's a follow up. This is what they want.
And what was the green? The green. So there was some interaction there. We won't show the text of it, but your system obviously handled some portion.
Yeah,
of it.
let's just go through. So the response queue basically is hey, a lead's been submitted. Deal with it now. Okay? Now, these are all of the leads that came in. So I'm on the leads page. These are all the leads, and you can see they're classified by different types. So this is a web form. Okay? So basically, a web form was submitted, and then the AI agent calls tried to call the customer, sent them a text message, then tried to call them.
I love the multimodality there. So they've come in as a web form, and then you're replying as a text message, and then picking up the phone and calling them.
Yeah, so we do both.
And is the text message to help mitigate against a number that I don't know? Is that the idea?
No, it's just you can set it how you want, but the text message is just basically saying like, "Hey, we're going to be calling you." Or some people like to message through, like to go through by text message, but it's just like, you could do hitting them everywhere is, I guess, what.
Hit them on all channels.
Yeah, hold on one second. Just gotta check something.
So you're solving a problem that exists within Google's lead service.
Yeah, and it's not just Google, it's everything. So basically we're consolidating the leads all to one system. And then through that system, the CSRs just have to log in one place and they see all the leads. And then we have AI that's able to interact with them if the CSR doesn't get to it or if they choose to. So it can run without AI, it can run with AI. But the idea is to make it so that we're servicing all channels within 5 minutes. That's the play. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. So if somebody, so this is overflow, this is after hours, this is all the times when if the customer service agent isn't able to get to it quickly enough, you're able to basically save that relationship or attempt to save it through, like you said.
No, it's not attempting to save it. It's we're gonna service that customer. So imagine, okay, you have a problem. Your wife says, "Hey, Riel, my the furnace is down." Right? It's cold outside.
My honey-do list is filled.
It's cold outside, right? So you go and you Google. Google recommends you, says, "Hey, this guy, Jaden's is 4.8. We recommend them. In fact, we guarantee their service." You click on it and you're like, boom, okay, they've done my research for me, You then fill out the form and you wait. And then, half an hour goes by and Kat goes, "So what's going on?" Yeah, I filled out a form." "Well, when are they coming?" "I don't know. They haven't called me back yet." Why don't you call someone else, Riel? Right? Now Jaden's just lost $55 and you ended up calling a competitor because you didn't get a reaction. Compared to what happens now is you fill out the form, AI calls you back in 1 minute. So you literally just filled out the form and hit submit. Before you even have a chance to go off of the website or off of the search, your phone's ringing. "Hey, Riel, this is Amanda calling. I see that you're interested in repairing your furnace. You have no heat. You live at this. Do you want me to send out a dispatch or book it in right now?" "Yeah, I do." Perfect.
Yeah.
Now
I need to tell her.
Exactly. So now what's happened is, when Kat goes, "What's going on?" "Yeah, I talked to somebody," which was the AI. "They're sending out a tech. They should be here within X amount of time." So now you stop searching. You stop calling other people. You're now pacified. And so now what we've done is we've saved the ad budget of that company. We've reassured the customer. So the customer service goes up like, "Wow, these guys are great. I filled out the form. They called me back within a minute." That's the review you're leaving, right? "They did good service. I love them. Wow, really attentive." Compared to, customers when I first go into their business, these types of leads, sometimes they don't respond for 15 hours, 2 weeks, a month,
Well, or you hit. So I'll just set up the other side of this, which is the hitting the voice tree hell of press 1 for this department, press 2 for this department. Some, which I don't know about you, but I just start smashing 0 and swearing because I found that'll get you to the real operator a lot faster. So I want you to demo the actual voice system because I think people are still thinking in terms of HAL 9000 voice that's really just
What do you mean
let me
9000
connect
voice?
you, like really computerized.
Let me play
kinda,
this, and you're gonna have to redact it. I don't know if we'll be able to use it in the video. I might have to give you another one. But like for instance, someone submitted a web form. It said, "Do you rent softeners?" Okay. Then that's at 11:21. Then at 11:21, we send the text message, right? Thank you for contacting, redact this business. We'll get back to you as soon as possible, blah, blah, blah. Then by 11:23, so literally 2 minutes after, we call them, okay? And I'm going to play this. I don't even know if you'll be able to use it because you're going to have to redact it, but I'm going to show you how simple and effective it is.
Hello.
Hello, this is from Heating and Cooling. I'm calling about your recent request asking if we also rent water softeners. Yes, we do handle water equipment like softeners. Our booking team can go over rental options and pricing with you. Can I connect you to our booking team now?
Yes, please.
Connecting you to our booking team now so they can go over the water softener rental options and pricing with you.
Boom. So literally they filled out a form, they didn't call. Like I had said at the beginning, these companies are good at answering the phone. They're bad at the forms. So now that got transferred so now this is a pre-qualified customer. They're ready. They want to be transferred to the booking team. So now the booking team, we transfer them to the booking team, pops up on the CSR's screen. Hey, we got a call. They come in. This person is happy. They're ready. They want to book already. So
right.
That's what's happened here. And the call was less like 30 seconds. It's just quick. Hey, this is what you were interested in. Is there anything else you need to add? Do you want us to book you in?
Which is confirming intent essentially before you so now suddenly the booking the people answering the phone are really just dealing with actual bookings instead of vetting the customer and trying to figure out whether this is an actual lead or not, or I'm guessing that those guys' phone rooms become way more efficient is the upshot of what ends up happening.
That's it. So now you can crank up your ad. So there's a couple things. First of all, we work with marketers. Okay, we do not run ads for companies. We have tools. So basically, we will work with your marketing team. Okay, we're not in opposition. It's not a competition. We don't run ad campaigns. We'll help your marketing team on suggestions because we know what campaigns convert, but we're not in the business of running the actual ad campaign. We provide tools to help these people. So basically, what we're doing is, if you're a marketing agency, you have clients in the home services business, you're running ads for them, but then they're dropping the ball on the last leg. Well, it's hard to prove your worth. It's hard to get your ad spend increased, right? Because they're not converting them. You've done everything you can. Well, what we do is we help on that final leg and convert them for you. So we are aligned with your marketing team. We're not in competition. We're a tool that then improves their conversion rate by up to 30%. So now you can go, you've hired, Riel's marketing agency, okay? Right now, their ROI is at this, okay? After we come in now, their ROI and conversion is up by 30%. So now you can justify spending more money with Riel because the campaign is working even better. So that's the key here is, we're, the business owner, but also the marketing agency's friend here because we are basically an efficiency agency. Where is the ball being dropped? We make sure that it's not dropped. That's it. We plug into your systems and processes that you have right now. We're not trying to make you switch CRMs, switch marketing agencies. Oh, you got to do this. Oh, you got to buy ads from us. You got to sign a year contract. We're not into that. All we're into is...
I love that you've plugged into the system. So for the most part, you're not even changing anything on the website. If the the lead forms are there and the phone numbers, they just forward the phone to you and you just plug into their CRM so that you're able to do all of this without actually, because that's always, the marketer in me is like, half the time these guys don't even know who built their website because it was done so many years ago, or how to log in, or like, I don't know, it just, it does its thing. So I thought that was a very interesting sort of side effect of how you've built this is really that you plug into all these different systems and bring it into this one funnel. Can we talk? So that's the inbound. Let's talk briefly about the missed opportunity of the outbound and the tell the story of basically booking service calls and the opportunity if you have a big database of customers, because of course you can't do this as a cold calling thing, but if you have a customer list, it's perfectly legitimate for you to reach out to an existing customer and say, hey, is it time for us to book your annual service call or whatever it is?
Yeah. So, like we said, and I'll just scroll up really quickly. Here's Instagram Meta ads. Here's Google local service ads, $55.5 average cost. And, a lot of these companies have a list of customers that they've either serviced or made installations for. So, an example, somebody's furnace is broke down, they call you, you do a furnace installation, maybe an AC furnace installation, maybe they call you about some rebates that are going on, tankless water heater, heat pump, etc. And so you've got in their house, you've done good work for them. They were happy.
You put their sticker on the tank, so the classic HVAC marketing thing of like. So
now what happens is they're not on your VIP program. They're not on your furnace filter program. There's no reoccurring revenue. They're not on any of your subscription services. So maybe you haven't seen them for 12 months. Since the install. So what we do is we call these customers and we say, hey, to keep your equipment running efficiently and to maintain your warranty, the manufacturer recommends a tune-up every 12 months. Yeah.
Why don't we let's play the demo that's on the front of Lead Secretary here, because
I'll play it, but first let me tell you how it works.
All right.
So basically, so then what we're able to do is we're able to call them, find out the people who are interested,
qualify them,
and then book them in for a furnace tune-up. And this is using HVAC as an example. And so basically how it works is the more tune-ups you get, then you get in their house, then there's some breakdowns or there's some problems, so then you get repairs, but then also it could be, hey, there's a cracked heat exchanger, something like that, where they need a new furnace, right? Or an AC, something's wrong, with the AC, it's leaking, whatever.
Well, it's an arbitrage game. I mean, for every $75 service call, every 10th one or 20th one or whatever the number is, there'll be, you need a new AC unit, or you need a new water heater, or you need, that's their revenue game.
Right. So what we're able to do is, like we said, so $80 Meta, that's for them to just fill out the form on, like, say, an Instagram campaign, the embedded form from Instagram. To fill out the form on Google, like we showed you, $55, okay? They just fill out the form. That doesn't guarantee that customer is going to get on the phone, ever book with you, any of that. It's just they filled
I
out.
was gonna say because the cost is actually not just that $55, but then you're paying somebody.
No, the average cost
know,
is $300 to $400 to actually get the customer and booked in. To acquire a new customer for like a furnace install is
their typical CAC
$300
is
to
$400.
Okay, so with this, we're calling the customer. We're able to get the customer on the phone, pre-qualified, saying yes, I want the service, and then either book them in automatically or transfer them to the booking team, which can then build the relationship and upsell them even more. So it depends on how your business runs. And we're able to get those calls for $6.37. So this is over 10 times cheaper than any channel. And we're able to turn it on and off when you need. So home service businesses, they're based on capacity. You're always trying to keep your capacity at 110%. The ebbs and flows of the business, this is a slow time. When it's a slow time, you're either going to have to lay off people, right? Or your capacity is down, so trucks are sitting there. You're only at 80% capacity.
It's that classic, the first snowfall, and then suddenly everybody's calling because their heater didn't kick in properly.
Yeah, so then at those times you don't need us because your phone's going to ring organically, right? And you're going to be at like 130% capacity. You got more capacity than you can deal with. Where we come in is when you don't have, instead of having to lay off people, you can use us to increase your capacity. And that's the real killer of this. That's where we are more than, an AI or a marketing agency. We understand home services, okay? And the key to home services is keeping your capacity flat. If you can always maintain 100% capacity, 110% capacity, then you're always hiring, you're always scaling. That's how you scale from 1 million to 10 million. You have to. But if every year, after summer, then we have to turn off, we have to lay off people. Then when winter kicks in, 3 months later, we have to hire people back. We can never scale. We're in this perpetual motion of laying off, then hiring, then laying off, then hiring. You can't scale. So you're stuck. But if you can fill in those low areas, so then you don't have to, so you can keep the good techs you have, you can keep the CSRs that you have, you keep everybody in the business, and then you just keep adding to it and scaling, and that's what we do. So it's more than making you money here or a marketing campaign. It's like we understand home services, we understand how it works, we understand the business, and we're going to put you in a position where you're going to be able to scale this business. And so, you turn it on demand. You see next week, there's only 90% capacity. Then you run an outbound campaign and bring it up to 110%. You see, look at next week there's a heat wave.
And you can pulse these. Obviously, if I have 3,000 customers, I don't want to call all 3,000 on one day. I want to be able to kind of handle, understand how much volume my team can handle and dial that in accordingly. Yes.
Yeah, we do all that for you. So we'll know, when you can accept, when you cannot, how many people we need to call in order to get, because it depends on the list, right? It just depends on business to business. So we figure that all out. We dial it in so that, no one's overwhelmed, but you're getting what you need. And, so that's the main thing. You can turn it on, turn it off when you want. You're not signing a year contract, but you're only using it for 4 months. Because at the end of the day, when you're organically busy, you don't need to use us. You use us to fill in the ebbs and flows.
Right.
And
you just alluded to your model, which is you're paying per second essentially. You're paying for the usage, not, you don't have some monthly fee that if you're not using it, you're not using it, or per seat licenses or that stuff. How does that work?
Yeah, so we bill by the minute. The cost is by the minute, billed by the second. So what that means is that, if you use 10 seconds, You're only billed for 10 seconds. You're not billed for the full minute. We
a
don't
full
round it up, right?
So the average call coming in, if it's 2 minutes and 10 seconds, you're not paying for 3 minutes. You're paying for 2 minutes and 10 seconds.
That's it. And like I showed you the call earlier where we pre-qualified the person filling the form, it was 30 seconds.
Barely over a minute, if that.
So it costs $1 for that. And the alternative would have been that would have went into an email box where they would have followed up 15 hours to 2 months later.
Right. Good luck.
For $1. So for $1, that insurance for $1 then converted that into a paying job. So when you're using us, when we're activated, it's paying for itself because we're only activated when we're talking to or dealing with customers.
I think this speaks to what you said originally, which is your whole model is pay for performance. Everybody's tired of paying for software licenses for stuff that, it has 30 features, but I really only just need this one, but I'm still paying for this. And even though I only log in a few times a month, I think this is one of the things that really differentiates you. So I'd like you to play. So for those of you watching, this is your front end website. This is leadsecretary.com, I believe. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you can go and check these out yourself, but why don't we play the outbound and then also play the objection handling one, because I think that one is really powerful. So these are actual calls. Long pause.
And, the script and the voice and the cadence are all tuned to your brand. So this is, how a customer wants it. That's their script. Your script might be different, but it just shows, how.
Well, it's incredibly powerful. I mean, the person basically as any good sales person will, proper sales training would have scripts that would be like, oh, if they make an objection because of this, here's how you handle that objection. So these systems typically are already, people have worked this stuff out for a real person. But I just thought it was so powerful to see how the AI was able to react to the warranty question of, he's basically saying like, no, I'm not interested unless it has to do with my warranty. And of course, then that's what the agent zeroes in on. And as we saw, that this was an actual call that ended up converting. Well, we don't know if it converted into a cleaning, but it got him to the phone room, which is, pretty powerful, considering that was just a dead phone number sitting in a database somewhere.
Yeah, it did convert to a cleaning. And so we'll play one more in that same sense. This one here, the guy's a little bit more stubborn. So the escalation is to then offer a discount. And so let's listen to this one.
Can I just say, both of these, I love the long pause on the consumer side as they process the like, oh, fine, okay, next.
Exactly. And so, some businesses, they don't like to offer discounts. If you don't want to offer discounts, you can just meet the objections. The customer declines. Okay, call us when you need us, right? So this can be tuned to the cadence and to your brand of how you handle things. But this is efficient.
But the point being, this you could be running 100 a day or 1,000 a day or 10,000 a day of these outbound calls that are completely not tying up your staff unless they're qualified, ready to book, ready to send out traffic, and dialing that up and down based on your availability, essentially. Exactly. Your trucks that are available to go do the work.
Exactly. And your capacity.
Right.
So it's like, hey, we need another 100 jobs. Okay, let's crank it up.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. Like demand planning, basically, the other way around. Yes. Like I know next month is slow.
Yes.
We need to book 70
in order to keep our workers busy.
Right.
Because otherwise then you're wasting money because you're only 80% full. That means you have 100
your guys
trucks,
are going home at
20 of them aren't going out. So now this is helping. So it's a bigger picture than just a marketing program. It's actually more ingrained in the whole business of home services. in that you have assets, you need to deploy those assets because you have to pay them no matter what. The only alternative is to lay them off, but if you lay them off, you're going to be busy next month, and then you're going to need them, and it's hard to find good talent. So it's a major problem. And so
Yes, we all know that the cost to hire somebody, between running Indeed ads and vetting them, and then finding somebody who doesn't, who shows up every day and is responsible and stuff. So yeah,
you got to
obviously
find work for them, right?
You want to keep those guys busy.
That's right.
Can we switch gears here and just show a little bit of the dashboard? I want to. So the voice that you're using is one of many that they can choose. What I actually wanted to show was the you've got some extra finessing there that I thought was really funny, like the background call center, coffee shop, that kind of stuff. Can we show that?
Yeah, we can go through this. So you're going to have to redact again. This is a customer's thing, but basically this is showing. So how it works is, all of these calls, you're going to see the outcome of it, where it's coming from. Is it inbound, outbound? What's the sentiment? You're going to see a summary of what happened. You're going to see the full transcript, and you're going to have the recording so you can listen to it and download it. So it's full transparency of everything that's happening, okay? And then how you're setting it up is in here, the agent settings. So you put the business details, you put the core services, the business hours, the locations. If the locations have different business hours, you can add that here, okay? You then have the agent profile, what you want to call the agent, what language you want it to speak, or multiple languages, the personality.
Oh, wow. Hold on. Let's not glaze over that one. So this thing can be multilingual as well?
Yeah, so for instance, say you're in the U.S. or say you're in Canada in Montreal. Someone answers and they're like, hello. Then it will speak English.
Well, or
you're
just
like,
in Brampton and they're all answering in Hindi or
anything, yes. So we can do 50 plus languages.
Wow, that's incredible.
And so agent personality is professional, friendly, formal, empathetic.
Sorry, this is blowing my mind. Do you set it to be specifically that language, or is it able to dynamically detect whether somebody is answering in a different language?
Dynamically detect. So you just have to say that you want it to use those languages, but then you don't do anything. It just dynamically detects.
Wow.
So like you called in and you're like, hello, or like whatever, or you're like, bonjour.
Oui, allô, bonjour.
Right. Then it's gonna just speak French.
Dude, this is new information. I'm completely blown away by. That's awesome. Okay, and then this was the stuff that I was talking about.
Background sound. So just to give it a little more ambiance of what's like it sounds like it's in an office. It makes it more real than if it's just like the voice. Like so on these recordings that we're playing back for you, it filters out the ambient sound because it's just like a record of the call, right? But when the person's actually talking to them, you're going to hear background noise, people talking in the background, typing on the computer, that sort of thing, or coffee shop background, conventional,
the espresso maker doing the milk thing,
outdoor in the wilderness, static noise, whatever, right? And so then we have the greeting. So this is a default greeting. Hello, thank you for calling the business name. Our call may be recorded today for quality control purposes. My name is Sarah. How can I help you? We can make the custom greeting. And we're recording the calls, so that's why we put in this. Your call may be recorded for quality control purposes because you're going to see that recording in the call history. If you don't put that, then there's not going to be a call recording, okay? Now, there'll still be a transcript because transcripts are fine. There just won't be the recording. Now, FAQ, this is where everything that's not on your, because the AI agent's going to scrape your website, all the publicly available information, your Google profile. It's going to know all of that. But there's going to be some things that, do you deliver to my location? What insurance do I need for rentals? What are your rental rates? Do you have indoor equipment? So these are all things that maybe not
specific to the business where you're basically able to kind of pre-set up these call and response, basically.
So here you manage the category. So you enter in the category, and then you enter in the FAQ. So then you enter in, you select the category. So rental.
And you're saying you enter in, but really you set this up for them as part of the
They
part of the
initially
service,
set it
yes?
up for them to get them going,
But then-
and then
but
they
then
can
they can
add
get
stuff
in there
as
and
their
dial
thing.
in.
So like
Makes
we
sense.
encourage them to listen to the calls, or assign somebody to listen to the calls, especially at the start. And then maybe somebody asks a question that you never thought of to let the bot know. Like the bot or the agent doesn't have a crystal ball. So
Right.
you're like, do you guys offer, or do you guys do schools or whatever? And there's nowhere on the website, there's nowhere in the FAQs that says that. So then it would defer to, hey, we'll get someone to call you back and find that out, or the agent would handle it that way because it doesn't know the answer.
But you could come back
Now
in
you
here
come
and
back
add
and you
that
enter
once
it,
you.
and now it knows.
Makes sense.
Right. So that's this. Policies are business policies. So like here they have insurance requirements, warranty terms, service areas. Then pronunciation guide is like here, so let's say 3219 is a model number. They want to say it 3219, not 3219, not 3219. So you let the agent know how to pronounce that. And then also it could be something like spelling of something, or whatever it is. So you would say, hey, this is pronounced like this, right? So if you notice in the calls, hey, it's not saying that correctly, you just come to the pronunciation. This should be said like this, and then that's it, right? It'll know. Transfer calls is, let's say they make an inbound call and then they're like, I want sales, or I want Charlene, or I want Joe, or I want accounts receivable. Well, they can all be entered in here. And you can add in the name or department, the phone number, or if there's an extension, enter in the extension, and then the agent will be able to transfer to those people.
So this is actually, let me just back up on that, because this is really powerful. Not just from, we've been talking about lead management generally, but this also then in theory could replace your general phone tree and everything that's going on the front end. Like all these guys have these annoying press 1 for thing, press 2 for thing. Now I could just say, can you transfer me to sales? And that doesn't even have to be within some expensive Mitel box or something. You could just go to their cell phone or however you want to redistribute that call. Yes?
Yeah, it can work with any system.
I think that's that's a whole other conversation of how many people want to
We have
replace
customers
those
like
phone
that.
trees.
It's basically, the reason why they have these PBX phone tree systems, because they can't afford to pay a receptionist just to direct calls. And so with this, now it makes it affordable, right?
Right.
And it gives
Okay,
that
so let's keep
personal
going.
touch, right? So
Yeah, it's so much more of a human exchange of I don't want to listen to 12 options before I just get me to the service guys or like you said, or Sam's not working right now, but can I transfer you to Marty? He's also in service. Like it's a much more pleasant way of dealing with inbound calls than what's the standard now with these Mitel boxes that have been in there since the 80s.
Yeah. So then call notifications is basically, if it takes a message, then what does it do with that message? So if you instruct it to take a message, you can or not. Like you could say, hey, don't take a message. Either transfer the person or tell them to call back, right? But like, let's say you take a message, you grab some information from them. Like, hey, this is their name. They want a call back. This is what they're interested in. This is the times they're available, whatever. That can now be piped into your CRM or anything that has an API that you want. Or it can send an email to an email. So like these guys send it to their service email. Or it can send an SMS message to whoever you want. And you can enter as many emails, as many SMS as you want. Or if you want to integrate it into your CRM or your dispatch software or whatever it is, then that can happen. So what after the agent takes the message, what happens with them?
Where does it go so that we make sure it gets actioned, basically?
Yeah, and then I set this up, but this is, if you're an advanced user, you could use this. So basically, this is the prompt that then tells what happens. So like after the initial greeting, this listens and routes to the appropriate flow. So is it going to equipment rental, equipment purchase, service and repair, training and certification, parts inquiry, quote follow-up, or general questions? Then each flow has its own cadence and what happens and what we're collecting. So the rental flow, we want to gather what height are you working at? Is it for indoor? Is it for outdoor? How long do you want it? Do you have insurance? All that sort of stuff. Whereas the sales flow, we want to ask equipment type, size, working height, indoor, outdoor use. Do you need financing? Are you interested in used or only new? Service flow is it an emergency? Is it your equipment or our equipment? Blah, 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 right? And so
and these are all very dialed into that business's requirements, basically. Like, this is the how do I dial in the different departments and how each of these things gets dealt with.
Yeah, and this is for advanced users. We also have a help desk, so you need to make a change, you need data flow. You just open up a support ticket, then we do it for you. But if you're hands-on and you're like, hey, you're into tech and you're
one of those. I like to dial it in.
You like to tinker, then it's here for you, right? Everything is fully transparent. And then the user, so you have different stages. So like say you wanted to assign an assistant or a junior team member to listen to the calls and report back to you if there's any problems or anything needed. You could give them access to that, but then they can't change the settings, right? And then, so we have three things here: agent, admin, and what else? I don't know. Let me look. So yeah, admin, manager, and agent. So admin has full access. Manager can view and edit agent settings, but cannot manage users. And agent can only view call history. So basically, you can add as many people you want on your team here, and then give them the different jobs. And then that's it, really. That's how this works.
Very, very powerful stuff. So you're focused on HVAC specifically. Home services. So roofing, painting, plumbing, all of the high call. I mean, it's the typical guy with a cell phone who's underneath a boiler or something, doesn't have the chance to answer the phone. And I mean, I remember this from, I had a Christmas light business called We Put Up Lights, and it was the classic, you're either selling or you're fulfilling the job. And then if you fulfill the job and you're not selling, then you've got that, week afterwards where you're dead and you're having to catch up on quoting and that kind of stuff. So this is
where it's very important and very needed. Like we do have other businesses, like we have spas, we have medical clinics, we have fairs, we have conference rooms.
Dude, I want to go talk to my motorcycle mechanic guy, because they're like the worst at booking. Like their whole thing is, you have to get the guy on the phone, and then they never know what where things are at. And
we have a mechanic, and basically,
I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, I really got to go pitch this to my mechanic, just because I want him to have it, so it's more efficient.
Well, I'll tell you. So we have mechanics, and what they do is they use it 2 times a year, mainly when they're changing tires. So when you got to change your tires to winter tires, and you got to do your winter maintenance, and then you got to do your spring, summer tires and summer maintenance.
Just call the list and book.
Call the list, and also just to take the incoming calls. So they might have on the call tree.
Every motorcycle mechanic I've ever dealt with needs this.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. It's like when it's talking to customers, then you pay. When it's not, then you're not paying. So that's
that to me is the magic. That's the real, like, the pricing. I mean, again, you're a marketer, so you understand how to deal with these sort of objections and stuff.
We only want to add value, and that's why we work with.
And $2 a minute is nothing. Like, if you start looking at all these other services, the which voice, which model, what are you saying, how to like, you never know how much it's actually going to cost.
Sign a minimum. You got to pay $999 minimum, and then if you don't use the minutes, they don't roll over, and it's just like
I literally went through this with a counseling client recently who got quoted $12,000 to set up the thing, and I think there was a minimum of $1,000 a month. Like if they didn't use up to that amount, they were still paying $1,000 a month. So
Yeah.
it's the Wild West out there for how the I think because this technology is still so new. There's a real
It's just how they do it, these companies, you know? Like one of my customers used to use Podium. Okay, Podium's worth about $4 billion valuation. They do something similar, but not as good as us. And basically, the customer hired us because Podium wasn't delivering on their promises. And so Podium does not integrate with local service ads. Okay, two ways. They do not. They promised they would. They still haven't. It's been 18 months. Still haven't done it. $4 billion company. And they make you sign a year contract. Then they also charge you. So for instance, say you are a HVAC company. You have 12 different locations. They charge you per location. So you have some, when most of these are running under the same call center internally for all locations, but you want it for all your different brands, all your different locations, you have to pay every single location the agent. So you could have 10 agents that are working 5 locations. You got to have now 10 agents times 5. You're paying licenses. And so we don't limit you based on how many locations you have, how many agents you have. None of that matters. It's just about the usage. You're using it, then you pay. That's it. So we're way cheaper and way, the way that it should be is that, we're trying to add
for what you
value.
use. Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the value is there obviously in the ROI on those is huge as you identified. Average, what was the $6 average? What that's sort of the
average of a call,
the
on
3
phone.
minutes, 3.5 minutes or whatever of those outbound calls connecting and giving you leads.
This
Yes?
is what it
That's-
is. So it's $2 a minute, right? But like, say we call, no one picks up. It costs you nothing. Say we leave a voicemail. You can choose to leave it or not. If we leave a voicemail, the average voicemail is 33 seconds by the time it identifies itself and we leave the message. If you don't want to leave a voicemail, then we just hang up when we detect the voicemail. Okay? So the bottom line is, if you take that $2 a minute and then you average it out to an actual conversion, and what we call a conversion is the person answers, we pitch them, they want it, we either book them in automatically or transfer them to your CSR for the final leg. That's what we call a conversion. Those are costing
Right.
$6.30 on average.
And not to send shivers down the phone room, but you're able to transfer this to a close, or you're actually able to like get their credit card and book them into the calendar as well, if that's what the person wants. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we can book them in
yeah.
directly into
Yeah.
like, say, a Service Titan. We can send them the Service Titan booking link. We can even take the credit card over the phone verbally if you have PCI compliance.
Wow. So that locksmith 2 a.m. call, you're actually getting the deposit before you even get the message that you need to go out to service this call at 2 a.m.
Exactly.
That's incredibly powerful stuff. Okay, well, is there anything that we missed? Is there anything that you want to showcase that I didn't?
I don't know. I mean, we've gone through a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, yeah. No, I think
You could go through, edit it, and then if there's some things I can jump back on. Just put on the same things and we can answer it. But there's we've been talking for 2 hours.
No, I think we've got the full flow here of where the value is. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us, and of course, if you are interested in Lead Secretary, head on over to leadsecretary.com and Derrick.
Yeah, I think the next time we jump on, we'll talk about vibe coding and that sort of thing, right? Because that's what I'm going to be
Dude.
I'll be there. But yeah,
All right, I appreciate your time.
cool.